Hi everyone, it's Jo. Hello. So I saw somebody asked a question of me wanting to know how I first started remembering things, like PTSD things, trauma things. Trauma. So I thought it would be a little easier for me to talk about it. We'll see if that's true. Ooh. This cabin where I'm staying right now makes weird noises. So, okay. Here's my remembering story. When I was growing up and a kid, like the trauma was happening to me, but I wasn't aware of it happening to me. I remember learning about amnesia, like from trauma, like that people can forget things that happened to them and remember them when they grow up and get older. And I remember very clearly wondering, like, what will I remember when I get older? And I kind of count this now as my first experience of remembering my trauma, like remembering the things that had happened to me, because like I clearly knew that I had forgotten things. And was aware of the fact that when I grew up, I would remember things and I wondered what they would be. So I count that as the first instance, and I was like, I don't know, early teenage years, like I was just freshly into the double digits. So then my first like flashback, like trauma flashback that I know of happened, I think I was like 23. I think I was 23. And I was at my partner's art studio, and they and I were like freshly together dating. And it was like time for me to go home for the night, but I had really, really bad separation anxiety, and so I would get panic attacks whenever we had to separate. So this time though, instead of having a panic attack, I just went somewhere else. Like my body was still there, but suddenly I was in a different dimension in my brain. Like I was remembering, I like couldn't hear anything, I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, and I was like paralyzed. And I don't even know how long I was like this, but I know that like my partner, they came over and sat next to me, and at a certain point like I was able to move again, and like then I started crying, and once I started crying it was better. And at that point, like I didn't know that I was remembering, I didn't know that it was a flashback, I thought it was a new kind of a panic attack. But then later I talked to a therapist about this, and they were like, yeah, that's a memory, that's like the way that a body remembers sometimes, is that you like get these rushes of feeling in your body, but it doesn't like connect with pictures in your brain or like memories of specific like settings. So that still happens to me quite often, that like my body will feel things that it's like pain or sensation or something, and it'll be a memory, but it won't be connected to like a chronological linear type memory in my brain. It'll just be my body having these like being overwhelmed with memory. So then the first time like I had a memory of being raped or like molested, I guess, that I knew what was happening. Like I knew I was remembering that. This was just a year ago. Like I think it was December of 2014. So how old was I? I was 25. And I was washing dishes at this house where my partner and I were living. You know, that house where I used to make videos at before we moved to my apartment. So I was washing dishes at this house, and I was having a lot of anxiety that day. And then I got that feeling of like being in a different dimension in my brain, like being in a different time zone. And then I had a lot of feeling in my body, a lot of like uncomfortable feeling, and like a lot of like terror, like feelings of terror and fear, and like I couldn't speak very much and I couldn't move very much, but I was still washing dishes the entire time. I remember that. And I remember like knowing that what I was feeling was the feelings of having been raped, but I still didn't have a specific like picture in my brain of like what was happening. I just like had all the feelings in my body of it happening. And I felt like I was just in a different place entirely. Like, I don't know, like Ooh, that noise. Anyways, I hope you understand that. So that was like, those are all of my, like, I have a lot of first memories, I guess. Um, and now what remembering is like for me, I have a lot more control over it. What I did for a long time is I just like didn't try and stop it anymore. I used to try and stop it all the time because it was scary, but then I stopped. I was like, okay, have flashbacks, have the memories, have the intrusive thoughts, like just let everything happen and we'll deal with it as it comes. And so like what I do now is when I'm having memories, I will color in my coloring book because it keeps me present and like aware of something else that I'm doing, and I like the pretty colors and I like the sensation. So that's really helpful. And I talk to people about it. I talk to the internet about it. I talk to my beast and I talk to my love, my new love. And I, yeah, I try very hard all the time not to keep it to myself because it's not something that should be kept to myself. Like, the memories and all of the trauma happened, like those things happened in secret. And so for me, it's really important to not keep those secrets anymore because that's not helpful for me at all. So anyways, that's how the memorying, that was a fun word. That's how the remembering started for me many different times. I hope that answered that question. Or if you aren't the people, there are many of you who didn't even ask the question. I hope you enjoyed listening. That's all.